I'm no human. I don't wear your clothes. Sex in the sky, love on TV. Empty eyes, ring it all for me. Won't it let me all night? And I can't believe anything. The blood is thicker, the atmosphere. Like over the years, where Columbus gave reality is good. Why, washed in washed in Sex in the sky, love. Have you ever heard of the flat earth theory?
The flat earth theory?
Yeah, flat earth. The idea that the earth is flat.
Yes.
You have?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what up, everybody? Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm kind of not looking at the moment, but I'll get to that. So yeah, did Jordan Peterson create Flat Earth or something? What the heck? He got kicked off of YouTube or something, and I'm kind of upset that I missed this yesterday and didn't bring it up because I had a great panel of people here. But like, what the heck? Like, you know, Jordan Peterson is like the one voice of rationality I've seen on YouTube in regards to certain discussions and he has so much to offer. I don't know why he wouldn't be allowed on YouTube, because, as I've kind of learned, that he wouldn't use the pronouns for gender neutrality in some debate or something, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, I was listening to Ben Shapiro on Joe Rogan, and I have a lot of respect for Ben Shapiro. I mean, I don't know. I like the way he parses things out so analytically and wonderfully. So, but he put it well. It's like this microaggression idea, that you're what we used to just call offensive or something, now all of a sudden has been labeled and exacerbated into this idea that if you're offended, then you have the right to, like, that gives you some kind of, it's like, how do you put it? He said it has value in this market of ideas that, oh, well, you're offended, so it doesn't matter how ridiculous you act, And I've looked at some of these college campuses, situations with Jordan Peterson recently, and I kind of referenced them to a couple of friends of mine that probably don't give a fuck. But I figured it was like mainstream enough where, like, it's like, hey, could you just fucking pay attention, to what's going on around you? And I just was like, here, check out this guy Jordan Peterson, because he was on the campus, and they were these, like, weirdos were trying to shout him down and trying to tell him that he couldn't speak. And it's like, if you don't understand that if you're part of that whole mob, like, you are a fascist, Nazi. Your ideals may be different. Your ideas, your platform may be a little different. But essentially what you're doing is you are attempting to diminish free speech, which it's like, I would say, like, to Jordan Peterson, if they were going to, this is where really I would, like, it's like Brian Mullins, these kind of people. It's like, okay, that's cool. They don't want to let you speak. Cool. Just tell them that that really they've denied equal protection. They've shut down a voice, and that they owe you some fucking money, because that's the only thing that'll get these people to understand. And that's the beauty of this system, is that the legal system is impartial. It doesn't give a fuck. It's just, the point is that if you deny equal protection, you deny rights, certain things, and you know how to address them in a proper way, you know what I mean? Then you can actually get your, you can get your propers and actually take these people to the particular institutions necessary, so that these issues could be addressed. Because frankly, what's happened to Jordan Peterson is, if YouTube is not going to let it, like, YouTube is censoring Jordan Peterson because he refuses to recognize the pronouns of gender neutrality. I mean, if you're so offended that you can't accept a man's ideas based on his, or you cannot get around it, it's like, especially in particular with the, let's say, for instance, because I think this kind of stems out of the lesbian gay community. And I would have to say that the people who really ushered in, or, fought for, let's say, that minority, right? Those people would be like, they would have never gotten their voice out were it not for freedom of speech. And so you don't understand that. And that's a damn shame. And I think that those people, those fine men and women who stood up for their particular preferences, those people would be appalled at what this community has become. Like, to shout down Jordan Peterson and not allow freedom of speech. Like, that's why I've rebutted to flat earthers. I've even said, hey, wait a minute. You have to provide a platform for the opposition, because in almost reality, in numbers, you're the opposition. So in the same way with this community of people, I would think that, the people who started that movement would be quite offended at the notion that you would try to shout down someone in their opinion, because that's what allowed for them to express their opinion. So to try and push people out of a conversation and kick people out of a thing is just such a, it's such a shame, because I would imagine even YouTube had no part in it. Not that they aren't liable in a certain sense, if you will, but I'd imagine that some of the community came down hard on YouTube and came down hard on Jordan Peterson. And And he has been censored. And this harkens back to the times of Adolf Hitler, when this is what they did, was they attacked the teachers on the campuses. They took out. That's why I have always, I don't know, I've just always seen this whole concept and the discussion of flat Earth as a big fuck you to anyone who would tell me that I don't have the right to freedom of speech, or the right to, or by what authority would you tell me what I'm allowed to think? And if you would do that, like, do you not understand how you are a willing participant in being, an oppressor? You are an oppressor if you are someone that would limit someone's freedom of speech if they're not injuring or harming anyone else. Now, granted, I've put it quite clearly that people can intellectually remove themselves from certain conversations, and that, and that's another story. But really, if there is an opportunity for the idea to be heard, it should be heard. Now, whether it's shouted down on merit is another case, and whether someone else can believe it or not is another story. But reality is that when some people, like teachers, I've never heard a more eloquent man other than Jordan Peterson. And then, you go on, but YouTube allows for, like, what was that video of the guy that was going to beat up the girl for 7,000 retweets? Or, well, I guess that was tweets. But, these, like, they allow for all this ridiculousness. But yet they won't allow for a college. They don't see the people who run YouTube. Like, please, like, you don't understand that Jordan Peterson is a well-respected scholar. Why would you do that? Why would you relent to such pressure? I think that's a shame, and it doesn't say, it's like a barometer of what we're going through. It's like, what did he do? Did he make flat Earth? Did Neil deGrasse Tyson go after him? Like, what happened? Why would Jordan Peterson come under such scrutiny? But I wanted to do a quick video about it, or, just pop on a little bit about it. Yesterday, I've been doing these long 8-hour hangouts where, it's been lovely. I love hanging out with everybody. But I also think, I don't know. Maybe I'd be open to, well, I don't know if anyone wants to come and join, but I don't know if I'm willing to put in an 8-hour one today. I wanted to go get a couple, I've already got a couple things done that I needed to do, but I just want to, step in and say hi to everybody and kind of just make note of this idea that, it's a shame what intellectuals are coming under because of expressing different ideas. We talked about Rupert Sheldrake, I think his name was, who was not, his TED Talk was taken down because it was too out the box. It's like, and he was making the case, and really this is the case to be made, is that you have these people that have just accepted a dogma, and they're like, it's become a religion to them. And we brought up kind of yesterday how about, it'll get to the point, well, you're, like South Park, where it's like, your science, my science is greater than your science, and they're going to, make gods or something out of it all. And it's hilarious if you look at it from afar. And I like how Mark Twain put it. He said, never argue with a fool, because from a distance, you can't tell the difference. So, let me see. Maybe I had a couple other things I was thinking of addressing. I forget what they were, but I kind of was enraged by the, I don't know. I was watching the Ben Shapiro and Rogan show yesterday, and I love Shapiro. I think he's an interesting guy. I think all kinds of people interesting. And I was kind of thinking, I'd love to see Ben Shapiro, like his computer mind, work through this dilemma of flat Earth. Like, I wonder if he's ever focused on it and thought of it, or if he's just too indoctrinated into the idea, or if he could be analytical and philosophical enough to recognize why this is still a discussion, or why it would ever be. I just started, I kind of was cracking up thinking about, like, looking at his face as he was trying to go through all the, like that Finding the Curve, when that kid's looking at the documentary, he's like, well, that's interesting. That's interesting. Like, I'd love to see Ben Shapiro, having that out. Or he would just outright dismiss it, whatever. It's a shame, but I think he'd be more intelligent than that. Because anyone who dismisses the subject on its face, I don't know. It's kind of tough for me to like. I mean, I understand heliocentrism works and yada yada. It's great, but the sun 93 million miles away. I don't know. The moon 250 or 239,000 miles away. I don't know. Seems a little much. Seems a little fantastical. And from the way I observe things, I don't know. But people are entitled to whatever they believe, and I think also people are living in a really there comes a point where you look into all this information and you're like, it can't be real and whatever. And I swear, if I had not gone through some of the understanding that I have, or that I think I have about law and the real seat of power that we hold and the actual fucking deception that is people are under, I don't think unless you break through all that it has any merit for you. Now, granted, you shouldn't go full conspirator and be like, everyone's a man, like all, or whatever. But really, there is some semblance of a process that happens where you can't really give it any credibility. I don't know what that we live in. Heliocentrism is a great model. It doesn't comport with the way I experience reality, or the way that you experience reality. That's the thing, is that we have to, that's the wonder of science, isn't it? That it's just so weird because it isn't like what we seem or, what we see or experience or anything. It's just this different thing. It's just this whole other different thing that you can't understand because it goes against everything in your senses. And just believe me, and that's how I feel about it. It's kind of like, wait a minute, you don't fucking know. You can't see curvature at 120,000 feet. And yet you want to tell me that boats go over the curve. Now, granted, yesterday we talked about it. That's an old wives' tale. But the people still come out here and yell at flat earthers saying that they can see the boat go over the curve. That's a damn shame for heliocentrism. You got to give us that point, guys. If you want to be taken seriously anymore. Because either the earth is too big or, either the earth is too big and boats didn't go over the curve. You know what I mean? Or, it's flat and it doesn't go over the curve as far as we can see. So either way it works. That's the dilemma. That's the real mindfuck. It's which one are you going to choose? Or do you think you have to? Are you concretized enough? Do you have to have a position? That's a real thing, to go through. Now, granted, I don't know. It's just there's certain steps along the way. And either you get to it or you don't. But I've come to just accept, and trust myself. With the idea that, we live in an insane society. And, it's, or insane people are running or are in the mix of this society. They would give in to this concretization. And if we'd give in to that, then we wind up with what we're looking at. There's no one's fault but ourselves. And that's why I look at art and stuff. It's like, thank goodness. It's like if someone were to come at me and say, oh, this, that, the other thing, dude, for one, you don't know me, and even if you do know me, it's like, do you really, do you know me, man? I've always kind of been a loner. So I don't know. I don't think so. It's like, we're just looking into information. We're coming to this, having a conversation open. We've all made fools of ourselves. We've all done, or I don't know. At least I know I have, right? I'm no saint. I'm no freaking anything. But I also know, when I feel like I'm being tricked, I should listen to myself and not listen to anyone else. Nobody. I don't care. I've learned that lesson well enough, is that, I don't know. Anytime I've tried to go and trust people, you wind up in I've always said ever since I came out here, I'm not a collectivist. I don't even think people can get together and do a bake sale. That's why they have jobs, because the only reason people will do shit is when they're fucking going to think to themselves, okay, at the end of this, I get some money and then I can go out and, that's that's the only thing people don't think in collective terms. I mean, some people do. And then it's like those people rise to prominence in those businesses because they can see the bigger picture, and that's how shit happens. But then you've got sick overlords that run those businesses that never give up any of the credit to the people they work with. But when done correctly, I think it's we can really I don't know. I'm all for businesses doing their thing, because especially if it's something, if we're in this commercial system anyway, You know, and that's the thing about the commercial system, the law system, all of this thing is that if we don't understand that much, then we're never going to get a grip on the playing field that we're on. And we're just always dealing with the constant changing, facade of a lie. So you can't ever, and not until you go to the root can you understand where the fucking lie is coming from. But if you're just going to deal, and like right now, it's even, I feel like, I don't know, there's such a deep rooted issue here of us giving over ourselves. Like, I mean, even, look at the misidentification. We don't know who we are. Right now, we don't even know how to use pronouns. We're lost, right? And I think that only comes from being so fucking far gone in this, fanciful lie that we've allowed ourselves to go that far, And how far are we going to let it go? It's a damn shame that, people have been pushed out of the conversation. But I'll be right back. I'm going to maybe add some people to the call, see if anyone would like to join. Let me see, maybe even we'll play. Add some people here.
Even life to everything. Go watch it for people I know. Need this medicine, and angry police sent like disease. Come after week, destruction increase as they work to fight job people sent to manipulation. Smoke one for me, smoke one for me. And all the way behind these prison walls, waiting to be free. Smoke one for me, smoke one for me. And all the way behind these prison walls, waiting patiently for planting a seed and cultivating. They're after me for fighting their freedom, waiting to catch anyone who falls in their snare. Waking the sheep, kept cozy asleep one by one, and each mystery explained in full, so you know exactly why they fight us. So smoke one for me, smoke one for me, yeah. And all the way behind these prison walls, waiting to be free. Said smoke one for me, smoke one for me, yeah. And all the way behind these prison walls, yeah, waiting to be free. Some make a taste, some smoke them Dutchies, some make a solid to see. All of your mysteries around us. Don't ever judge, just show them the love. Know who you are from your mighty above, and be one of them children sent to bring upon creation and grow. Yes, smoke one for me, smoke one for me. And all the way behind these prison walls, waiting, smoke one for me, smoke one for me, yeah. And all the way behind these prison walls, waiting to be free. Smoke one for me, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? We got Fanny Lancer.
Even life to everything. Go watch it for people like mine. Need this medicine. I thank the police since like disease. My week, destruction increase. They will fight ya. Smoke one for me, smoke one for me. And behind these Waiting to be free. Smoke one for me, smoke one for me. And all the way behind this prison wall, waiting patiently for planting a seed and cultivating thereafter. Fighting, fighting, catching one, fall in their snare. Making the sheep kept falling asleep one by one, then twist away. Explain why exactly why they fight us. So smoke one for me, smoke one for me. Yeah, follow me behind the walls, waiting to be free. Smoke one for me, smoke one for me. Yeah, follow me behind the walls. Yeah, waiting to be free. Some make a tease, smoke them got cheese. Some make a silent to see. All of your mysteries around us. Don't ever judge, just show them the love. Know who you are, your mighty God. One of the children is sweet to you. One of the issues. So, just take one for me, one for me. Yeah, darling, behind the walls, waiting to be free. Smoke one for me, smoke one for me. Yeah, darling, behind the walls, yeah, waiting to be free. Smoke one for me, and darling, behind the walls. Smoke one for me, yeah. And all behind these prison walls, waiting, waiting, waiting to be free. Yeah. For planting a seed, now up in the hills, Jah Moses seed, giving life to everything. So go watch it go to the people I know. Need this medicine while the angry police sent like disease come after it and destruction increase. So they fight Jah people sent upon creation get together. Smoke one for me, smoke one for me. Yeah, God, behind this wall.
Yeah, respect to the Fanny Lancer, man. Enough gal know about the Fanny Lancer, man. Yo. Um, yeah, man. You know, I've met so many beautiful people out here. Even Ball Earth, Flat Earth, you name it. And that's why I take my ethic is the notion of freedom of speech, man. Everyone's gotta have a right to speak out here. You know. Yeah, shout out to Fanny Lancer, shout out to Tinfoil Hatter, Joey Silva, what up? Hey, Fruity, Post Globe Society, word up, Daniel Reza, yeah man, Ian Tisley, yes, Jed, Monique, uh, yeah, thank you for everybody tuning in. Really, I just, hey, no one's flower, what's up, love? Nice. Um, yeah, what's up? Never trust nobody. Plutonic. Yeah, he's all good. Dale Gribble, I don't know who the fuck. I have no idea. Um, yeah, good point. Shout out to Gina T. Austin. Let's see. Yeah, man, good people. Oh, that's fucked up. You're too funny, man. Some of you people are just too funny, yo. The chat section. Yo, if you don't know too, I don't know if people even know about this. Like, if they ever hear this on recording, because I always think to myself, like, no one's gonna check for this. But it's kind of weird because that's how I found Mechanics of the Fourth Wall. It's kind of how I got introduced to any of this was the sun tracking stuff. But ultimately, if you look on Google Hangouts or not Google Hangouts, but if you go on YouTube and type in Flat Earth and put live as the filter, you can come across these live Hangouts. And I got to say, the chats are fun. The people are awesome. And we can get these ideas popping on the fly. That's what's so dope about this is that it's just this, it's like we're riding lightning right now. You know what I mean? Like we're riding light, talking to one another, spreading ideas. And ideas create things because you can't do anything without an idea first. So right now, I think there should be, there should be it should be well known that the people are pissed off that YouTube has taken Jordan Peterson off of YouTube because he won't bow down and use some gender pronouns because of an angry group of, upset people. It's like, that's like, granted, it's a corporation and stuff like that. But however, if anyone, this is where I think people have just lost sight of the notion. They just think to themselves, oh, well, I just have to accept that. When in reality, that's a violation of the Better Business Bureau ethics. It's a violation of, there's a bunch of things that YouTube may be in violation of. I don't know. Maybe somebody wants to look into it though. Because if and then if institutions are going to say that, oh, you can't speak on this particular subject because, well, I mean, hold their feet to the fire. Why wouldn't we? It would be it is incumbent upon us, because especially if you're not out of line, if you're behaving within the correct structure and within the correct protocol, and you're within, in honor, then really, there are there are enough guidelines that would lead one to believe that you can't do that without getting, without having repercussions. So, I mean, people like Jordan Peterson, I would hope, understand that this notion of freedom of speech is huge. And if people want to challenge that, well, then, you know what I mean? It depends. This is why I said, if you understand the construct of the system, then you can understand how to address it. Like I don't talk about the specifics, but I'm just saying, like, one could find out who the chief financial officer of, whatever institution is, and address them, on their license, not the company, not any of it. Talk to, whatever his or her name is. So, excuse me, are you going to accept responsibility for this? Because that's what they're licensed to do. Is they're in a position of power that license just as much power as someone thinks they have, is just as much as responsibility and just as more liable for a fucking lawsuit that they could be. So if you have power, that means that I can sue you for more money. And that's what people have given over to. We don't understand this. It's like, yes, in the democracy, this person, this powerful entity before us, this one who everyone bows down in front of, this emperor with no fucking clothes, right? Stands before you in the democracy with all this Trump and fucking circumstance. And all you have to do is point out, well, excuse me. Well, then I guess you're the one who's responsible and owes me under this, and this. And where are the judges? And the judges are just impartial. They don't give a fuck whether it's the king or whatever. That's why they stay out of it. It's just in God we trust, dude. Look, here's the evidence. This is what it looks like. Boom. If it looks like one is, deprived one's rights under the color of law and denied them their First Amendment rights and protections, then wouldn't they be liable for, say, like $10 million, like right fucking now, overdue, without recourse, should they fail to respond under notary seal, showing that they didn't deprive the rights of one particular, man or woman or whatever you want to fucking call yourself? You know what I mean? And we have no strength and no position of power in it. We think that we're nothing. I really, I should actually, I'm going to see if Homeboy's around, because, I've just, I don't know, he had mentioned that maybe he'd be around to come and talk. Let's see. I mean, I don't know if he'd be down. I'm not going to air out anyone, but there's some good people that have had some success. And I just think if more people knew that they had the possibility of, like, looking at these institutions with a sense of power within themselves, and they understood that, it's like, that's why why they made those movies with, like, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I've always said, I've always wanted flat Earth to be Dave Hinkle goes to Washington, because I think Dave Hinkle is the best flat earther in the world. That's the kind of person. That's the regular kind of guy who understands. Like shout out to Dave Hinkle. If you don't know, old school rock and roller, love him to bits, king of flat Earth. Like it's like I started to think I saw Math Powerland came out with a video saying that they're attacking flat Earth. The creator of flat Earth. Oh, were you born before William Blake? If not, then just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Because William Blake wrote a poem about the flat Earth a while back. So, I mean, if you're going to say you're the creator of flat Earth, like, this is a psyop, bro. This is a psyop, man. You're coming, trying to destroy the truth movement. No, I think actually people who are saying that it's a psyop, man, you're coming to destroy the truth movement. I think you're the fucking psyop. I think you're the victims of circumstance and too much information. Maybe you're just not, equipped. It's all good, dog. Maybe you're just everything that you think you hate. Who knows who's projecting? But I got a beat on my own sense of this place in the world. But I have a feeling that that's what I've come across. It's a bunch of angry little cowards. No disrespect, but I mean, like, and you can come in here. I've like, ask me for the link if you want to come talk to me. Don't do something silly. If you want to come talk to me, talk to me. You got, you know what I mean? If people are going to think that's the case, but I just don't. I don't think that's the way it's going down in that sense. But I understand why people think that way. And honestly, actually, I do respect the people that hold up. I know a lot of those cats. I just see it differently. And I see it like, look, hey, this maybe is just a further part of it. Maybe we really don't know. And, and just, hey, can we talk about this on the real? Because like, it's not, or whatever, or don't be mad at me if I do. How about that? Can I just, if you want to go think it's a fucking, if it's a controlled, and I granted, there may be people trying to control it. And, maybe that's what, certain heads are really up against. And, I don't know what to say. God bless you. Then in that sense, you're my brothers and sisters out here. But at the same time, like, don't get on us. I think people of sound, I'm not trying to proselytize flat Earth. I'm not trying to push on anyone. It's just part of something that I've said before. And granted, cathexis chooses to put it into the notion of guerrilla ontology, right? I just think of it like, okay, yeah, it's that too. But it doesn't make it, it's not some, I don't know. To me, it's not some far out like, woo, like, really, they believe in aliens and the pale blue dot, and you're spinning around in space, and I just don't fucking buy it, man. Forgive me, dude. I can't, it's a great model, heliocentrism, all of it, but just like, I feel like you're trying to make me feel like the Earth is like a bubble in the ocean. And I just don't think that that's how it rolls, man. I think I think there's just something to it. And if it is like Earth is like a bubble in the ocean, so be it. Can't we fucking talk about it? I mean, what the hell? What do we just all got to believe? Oh, Captain Bullshit. What's up? Yeah, man. Well, those who harbor anger, it's like drinking a poison and expecting someone else to die from it. So if you're angry about it, well, then you're only going to do yourself a disservice. And, I have always said my victory is my fucking awesome life. I mean, literally, I feel content. God willing, you know what I mean? And it remains as such. And, I don't know. But my victory is my life, my experience. I can give a fuck what anyone really. I've learned that lesson a long time ago. That's why I've said too, even if you're going to come into this, it's almost like you've got to be ready for the world to hate you. And then also be ready simultaneously, if you would, to feed it. That's what I think Christ was talking about with the idea of turning the cheek. Granted, if you're in the street and someone's attacking you, that's not the time for turning your cheek. What I'm saying is that intellectually, like, when it comes to physical confrontations to another level. But the point is that if you're talking about, little quib, little jokes and little remarks, I think, suck it up, roll with it. It's fun, especially with flat Earth. If you can't have a sense of humor talking about flat Earth, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like I've always tried to maintain it. I think I learned that talking about any of this stuff for years now, is that I've come to accept, like, hey, I might be like, well, did you know this, that, the other thing? But, but hey, what about the Yankees? You know what I mean? I'm quick to bring it to another conversation with someone because I understand, and it's pointless to talk to. They're not even interested in it. I mean, shit, I used to be even into it. I was just as much into, like, back in the day. I was like, hey, what do you think about fucking Dracos? You know what I mean? What do you think about these aliens? What do you think about Freeman Fly? What do you think about fucking Obama and the statue in Egypt and all that fun shit that we all went through, I think, collectively at a certain time. Point is, I'm over that shit. And if you're still harping on it, then you're fucking old. You're just like, you're old hat. I don't know. It's like, it's like a fraudster. I don't know. It's just like now the conversation has led it to itself where's the fucking curve? And if we can, okay, look, how about this? Why would people say the boats went over the curvature? If we can, let's just get rid of that lie. So if we can all agree that that's a lie, that no boat ever went over the fucking curvature because it's technically impossible mathematically or otherwise because the earth is too big, right? Because you can't see curvature, because you're too small, like Neil deGrasse Tyson says. You know what I mean? Then you have to relent. You have to accept that there's been a lot of people out here fucking lying for the last year based on that premise. Now, were they lying or were they merely misinformed? I don't know. But I think if you understand that 69 miles for 1 degree of arc in the alleged sphericity of the earth, then you're going to have to agree that no boat went over the fucking curve at 6 miles or 3 miles away. There's no curve there. That would be bullshit. And that's cool. We could just accept that that's the facts, And if people aren't going to accept that, then you're being intellectually dishonest. And that even further open, it's another can of worms. Because if you can't be intellectually honest about this stuff, then really what are you going to do? Like, get an army of people and go chase people down like Jordan Peterson has been dealing with on college campuses? How mature is that? Is that what mature people do? Would any intellectual leader say that that's a good idea other than some form of despotism or some despot? Damn, I need to pick up a lighter. Let's see here. What did you put up, Ron? I can't see the link, man. It says error, something wrong. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to. Nah, I'm good, Grim. You don't let people talk, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's like certain people, like, we've talked before. It's all good. Thanks. You think I misexplained it because of whatever reason. And heliocentrism works, Grim. We already figured it out. That's why, that's why you think that it makes sense that you can see the southern crux from 25 degrees north latitude over the equatorial bulge, even though the southern crux is at 60 degrees. And the only reason that that's fucking possible is because of your millions of light years away. And the notion of curvature, you're talking about 69 miles, you're talking about the arc and the gradient of curvature. Just shut the fuck up with your sagittas and the rest of it. I'm fully aware of the argument, so thank you very much. And it's true for flat earthers out there, you should know what a sagitta is. A sagitta would be the hump between you and another party. But allegedly, there shouldn't really be a hump because it would all be going away from you anyway. It optically, but then you get atmospheric conditioning and refraction, and then it goes into crazy town. And that's where the conversation gets interesting, because it's like, which side of it are you going to choose? Because to me, the shit looks flat. You know what I mean? And I'm not quite certain we went to the moon. just not quite certain about that. I reserve some doubt. But I think, I think that's pretty much the deal. But yeah, I added some people to the call. If those guys want to join. No, Grim, I don't know. Are you sure I have problems, bro? Because I don't know, man. I'm chilling right now. I'm doing pretty good. But thanks. Yeah, it's like, when someone, it's like, when your girlfriend tries to come and like change your life, you just need some pink in here, and you need some, just like some fluffy. No. I don't need like the decorum of a woman. Thank you, Grim. I'm perfectly fine with my rather Eric Dolphy kind of lifestyle. Keep it very simple. There's a cool story about the oh yeah, Jordan Peterson. What's up, Shar? Yeah, Jordan Peterson. He was what I'm saying is that Jordan Peterson probably created Flat Earth, and that's why YouTube kicked him off. I think it's a shame that Jordan Peterson is actually he's been kicked off YouTube because he refused to use alternative gender pronouns, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I can make certain, that's what I had initially gleaned from it, but that's kind of what I've gotten from it. But you never know with these guys, you hear all this crap. But I like Jordan Peterson, you know what I mean? That's the problem I have, is that I think he's awesome. I think he's a great scholar, and he speaks for conservatism. And right now, I think we need conservatism, especially. I mean, the issues that conservatives have, in my opinion, is they're still banking on this economic conservatism, which, I mean, in one sense, it's like it makes sense for a household, but the institutions that we live under are under a completely different fucking system. And we're trying to liken that. And, that's why I've talked earlier about before, is that each, technically, in my opinion, each U.S. citizen is is some, like, one of our persons, and that person owes so much money, right? Because the United States owes so much money to us who created the person. And you only, like in my opinion, the national debt is the equivalent amount to how much every individual could say to the United States, hey, knock it off of what you owe me. And that's what they could do. That's, in my opinion, that's the only reasonable sense of the system. And you've got the Bible in every courtroom. It seems like it's just financial papers. It's discharge. It's double entry bookkeeping. And Federal Reserve notes and debt. And a debt note can never pay a debt. And the UCC says that a bankrupt institution cannot demand payment in any particular form. And the United States happens to so be a fucking bankrupt institution. So if you're going to go around with some economic policy to do with the monopoly game, well then, okay, don't be mad at me if I'm not playing the fucking game in a certain sense, or outside of your parameters. And that's why everyone's like, tax the churches. No, just learn how to fucking create something that doesn't get taxed, you dipshit. Don't fucking go trying to police everybody, because you just look like a fucking Nazi. And that's what socialism does, is they utilize the system. And even Marx wrote about it. He said, we'll use the system against itself. We'll use banking against the system. What have they done? They sent all our good old boys to fight some dumb war in Iraq and Afghanistan so they'd all die. And then they fucking sent the bankers after their parents' farms. Am I mistaken? Did anyone fucking miss this? And so if you were going to take it to the bankers, like so many of these fucking fake truthers, well, then why the fuck don't you understand discharge, the UCC? Wouldn't that be the correct way to take it to the bankers? Or is that just too complicated for your simple-minded, lobotomized, psyche? You fucking pussies. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause why wouldn't you actually take it to the people that are actually doing the deed, instead of actually like taking it to people that are trying to wake other people up in regards to it? Sounds like a bitch move, right? Because why wouldn't you go understand discharge? Why wouldn't you go understand this and then like maybe go try to discharge a mortgage and take it to the bankers? You know? You know? And Grim over here, dude, Grim. See, this is the type of person Grim is. I could say like, you know, I don't like turkey sandwiches, and Grim would be like, you're lying. Like, you know, because Grim, you're just a fucking self-centered person. That's the problem. You're the reason Mother Earth made sure that people like myself come out here to stomp the embers of any relationship between us, Grim. You know what I mean? Because you don't belong on this side of the fence, in my opinion. You're an argumentative, you know what I mean? You don't know how to come to peace. You know? God bless you, my son. I don't know what to tell you. I feel for you, man. You're all amped up over there. I imagine you're fucking probably worked up. Gonna make a sock account if someone bans you, you fucking pussy. You know what I mean? Because you can't keep your manner and you can't keep your fucking dignity intact. That's what we're facing right now. We're facing, I mean, I feel bad for women that have, like, Grim is a fine example of your average NASA bootlicking, you know, type of guy. You know, even though he's electric universe and duper, it's like, you know, it's not far enough, Grim. Nice try. But I think, like, you know, it's all good. I don't give a shit about you know, about you. So it's all good. But I think, you know, it's just a common thing. Like, I feel for women that have to put up with probably a bunch of people that exist like you, that think they know everything, and like, you know, and have to tell everyone else what to do, even though, you know, I don't know, God knows what the fuck you do. But in reality, it's like, I'm chilling right now. And what I'm saying in regards to economic stuff and this type of stuff is all due to the nation that if they fucking deal with the economic system like everyone thinks, and they do institute hyperinflation, then fucking the only way that anyone's going to be able to do any of this is through discharge. But now we stand at a chance where before the Fed goes, you know, like everyone who hates the Fed and says end the Fed should probably fucking go thank the Fed for not raising interest rates, because everyone, in my opinion, is so dumb they don't have to adjust because no one's actually checking the economics of it. Thank God. Because everyone would just, you know, be like the price of milk would shoot. Everyone, no one has any idea of the repercussions that would happen. And yet there's people out there that want to even have like revolution and shit. Like, go fuck yourself. You don't even understand. You know? So, I mean, you know, that's just my opinion. I mean, a lot of people don't like my opinion. There's a lot of people that don't like me. It's okay, Graham. You know, I'm perfectly aware of it. But like the thing is that we have to address a particular issue at hand here, which is this notion that people are under a misconception. I mean, before I met you, you thought the United States won the Revolutionary War. You probably still do. Probably think I'm lying about it or something. But I can go and say, hey, look up the Treaty of Paris from 1783, where the King of England, who wrote the fucking treaty that ended the war, called himself the King of the United States. So if you're living some American fucking dream based on the notion that you guys won an American Revolutionary War, I think you're fucking retarded. And granted, I'm related to John Adams, dude. I'm not trying to lick my wounds or anything like that. I'm trying to fucking look at this as the diplomatic remedy of what these gentlemen did. Because they lost a physical war, so they had to create diplomacy. And they created the U.S. to put the debt on. The states were the collateral, but there's also this divine agreement between them that the Bible is in every courtroom, and there's this ecclesiastical system that we're also under. And if you look to the ecclesiastical system, didn't Jesus say all your sins are forgiven and all your debts are paid? Didn't the crown take an interest in all the land and have them access to the minerals in the soil and put everyone on notice when he sent the missionaries out to serve the Lord? I dare say serve the Lord meant like someone serves you a legal document. And that legal document was the Bible. And the Bible calls Christ the offer. And they come to you and they say, well, have you accepted Christ? And this is what they did during the Inquisition. It's what they've done during all of it. And for so long, we've stood there with that fucking attitude, like someone like, you know, certain people that just want to fight it. And they just get tortured at the stake because they won't fucking understand that they could say, I conditionally accept that on proof of claim. Why would you think I'm not one of the sons of Adam and that all my sins aren't forgiven? You know what I mean? Like, well, I don't know. I don't know if gentlemen said that. I don't know. But my point is that when people tell me like, oh, they'd never, like, I've had interesting conversations with officers and interesting conversations with, or dealings with these people. And I have respect for them because they're very protocol oriented. And we have to understand the protocol and understand the dynamic of it. And granted, it's not something that is looking, like roses and rainbows. It's just something that at the moment, I think it could look like roses and rainbows if we change our perspective and we understood the paradigm shift of where we sit in this game. Like, like gentlemen like Jordan Peterson, they should not be shouted out. And I think there should be repercussions, in my opinion, if Jordan Peterson so wished and so felt offended. It's a damn shame. I'd find out the institutions that lobbied against him and add them together. But I wouldn't go get a class fucking civil action or an attorney. But that's something that Jordan Peterson might fucking do because he thinks that's the way they're going to do it. And then when he fucking loses the class action lawsuit, because there's politically fucking driven agendas and there's judges who might be able to, not give a shit, or understand the political circumstances, then understand that the attorneys work for the court and that the court is ultimately working for the state and the desires of the interests of private parties you know nothing about. And I think the Rothschilds and all that crap is a red herring, by the way. So please, there is no, we are the source of the power here. And I think if we recognize that they are such intellects that they've given us the right to do ourselves in or to lift ourselves up. What are you showing, Morky? Perspective refraction. Yeah, this is Matrix Deco's video. Let me see. Are you asking a question? I think I've seen this footage, but what's the question, Morky? I'm just curious. Yo, word, who's your flatty? You're right, man. Shout out, respect to Jim Morris. Was it Jim Morris, right? I always fucking remember. And it's hold on, so I just looked it up too, but for some reason I made the mistake of looking up the other guy, Morris. Yeah, respect to Jim Morris. Yeah, he was like definitely like anyone who's been following this, this conspiracy trail for however long. It's like, Jim Morris is definitely like a face, in this respect. Yeah. Yeah, God bless. Yeah. Let's see. So Morky, what was the what's your question on the footage? I'm just curious if because I mean I just look at it like it's like what is are people looking up and seeing now maybe I don't know, I don't think it's physically possible for people to see curvature at the beach. So it's like when someone tries to then like look, it's curvature at the beach. It's like, well, okay, how come we don't see it at 100,000 feet? Well, derpa. You know what I mean? Now you're fucking sounding silly. And like, and so it's atmospheric conditioning, angle of incidence, if you forgive me. And yeah, that's what I think. It's atmospheric conditions. So just stop. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson says you can't see curvature. You're just too small. And yeah, it's an old wives' tale that you would see curvature because, like, it's funny how everyone's like, oh, there's the curvature, there's the curvature, there's the curvature, and then when you get to 100,000 feet and you can't see curvature, they say, oh, there's the curvature, there's the curvature. It's like, you just you can't have it both ways. You just can't. I mean, in my, or at least for myself, like I can't have it both ways. For me, I see it in a certain way. Now, granted, I can understand why people think other things, but yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to get in and shout out to Jordan Peterson because I don't think he should be banned from YouTube, if anyone. And I think he has rights of recourse, in my opinion. So I think that's what's up. What's up, Turquoise Dragon? Jovan Chenmaker, Joey Silva. What's up, Zan? Charlotte. Gem Panda in the building. Wendy Blank. Who's your flatty? Yeah. Let me get over here. Got Ron Burgundy up in here talking smack. Always. Nah, actually, I didn't see what you're talking. Elliot Hall. Cynthia OC. What's up, Cynthia? Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know if anyone wants to get in here. Morky Love. Yeah, man. Morky Love. Shout out to Morky Love. Yeah, I was curious because you pulled up. Well, I was shouting you out because I was talking about the shout out to Ed Upside Down Ed. I was talking about that video you put up. I said, somebody had?
What's up, brother?
Hey,
how you doing?
Well, chilling, man. Cool. I'm not feedbacking, am I?
I thought I heard a little bit. Yeah, you are.
What about now?
I don't know. Yeah, a little bit.
Really? Ugh. All right, hold on.
What's up, Cynthia, Wendy, Ed, Turk, Charlotte, Morky? How's everybody doing today?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, you got me.
Is that working? Yeah, you're not feedbacking no more?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little rough with the it sucks though. I can't hear myself like I like hearing the especially doing the music. But yeah, man. Yeah, what's cracking, man? What you been thinking about? I'm trying to think there was something else I wanted I can bring up today. Forgive me, man. Go on.
I was just getting ready for work, man. Saw you were live and you invited me, so figured I'd say what's up.
Word. Yeah, man. I was looking into the Jordan early. I was listening to Ben Shapiro yesterday, and I'd heard about it, but then they brought it up as well, and they were talking about how Jordan Peterson was getting kicked off of YouTube because he wouldn't accept he wouldn't change up his use of gender pronouns, which I thought was
that's I didn't recognize the name, so I looked him up, and I still can't find whether it's he was doing this on YouTube, like a live stream or something, or if it was
right?
Was it a debate on YouTube, or was it just
no, I think it was some. Yeah, it was some.
It was outside of YouTube. It was not a forum that YouTube has jurisdiction over.
Actually, forgive me too. I'm not even too sure if it was. Let me look up some of the article. Let's see here. Let's see. I think it was like an event. That's why I think. Banned from using. Okay, he was banned from using Google and YouTube accounts Tuesday, regaining access hours later with no detailed explanation provided. Forgive me. So he got it back, but I guess these people. Okay, interesting. He has 350,000 subscribers on his channel. He uses his platform to post lectures, interviews, Q&As. I get. It was something to do with some debate, though, if I'm not mistaken. I may be mistaken. He's had the account for 15 years, and it wasn't eligible. But the fact that they reviewed it and then decided that my account is not eligible to be reinstated indicates to me either that this is a quite serious mistake, or that there's something that's political going on that is associated with censorship. Peterson reiterated that he had not violated terms of service, stating that he had only recently posted a video detailing his plans for the future. The professor said he could not. This is just another example of these big companies. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder where the pressure's coming from for him. Is his channel up right now?
It is. Yeah, I was just. It's evidently being reinstated, but.
Yeah. Yep. So this was written maybe at the time, but yeah,
A couple
I guess
days ago this happened. Looks like it's been resolved.
Lovely. Yeah. I thought it was cool because I remember I watched some videos of him doing like these campus talks, and they were coming in and just shouting them down, and he'd had to like go outside and talk, and then and all he was really saying was just this notion of the freedom of speech and how reminiscent that it was that he was getting shouted, getting called out by this opposition. It's like reminiscent of fucking Nazis. And then also too, Ben Shapiro had mentioned too, he has to like travel around with security. Like, like they've shut down like he has to have security. They refuse to have the talks because of security reasons. You know what I mean? So the campuses will shut down the talks that these gentlemen were going to have because of citing security reasons. It's like, who the fuck does that? Because someone's, coming to speak on the campus. Like, I don't like, I mean, I guess I understand it from a protesting point of view, but, in reality, like I would think the discussion has always been had. It's like, that's the difference. If people go and look at the discourse of like, let's say the 60s and stuff, where a lot of these people are getting this stuff, those people were eloquent. They understood the points. Like, now this position, it's gone so far radicalized to the left of just like, I mean, I want to be known as an alien, or, you know what I mean? Or I'm going to put horns in my head and you have to call me this. Like, it's like, what the fuck? And that's like, okay, look, if you want to go do some wild shit, just go do some wild shit. You know what I mean? Don't be, all like getting the rest. Like if you do some niche, it's like flat earth. Like myself, I'm not necessarily trying to make everyone a flat earther. It's just part of the discussion. It's not like we're looking for legislative, we just want a personal agreement. I'm not trying to fuck with the system. The system is the system. We can do what we want outside of the system. And if we have to work with the system, then we can. But like to try and change the system to adapt to just your niche weirdo shit is like, that's fucked up. What's going on there?
But yeah, man. Looks like Charlotte was linking it. Evidently, it was heat coming from the Canadians. It's Bill C-16. It's an act to amend the Canadian Human Rights Act and the Criminal Code.
To do what?
It's to make an amendment. Oh, it was passed.
What?
It was passed.
Yeah, no, they already have it. So it's like they have all these different gender codes. There was some reporter that even went at one point to get her. I'm not too up to speed on it, but this one girl went to get she had her identity changed so that she could be, so she would be referred to as a man. And so if anyone challenged her on it, she could take umbrage with it. And it's just kind of, that's really what it becomes. It's something that can get trolled. And it's a shame that, people don't. That's why religious foundation was there in a way, and I think in a way it's not going anywhere. It's still there. It's just, regardless of how far off the chain you go, there will always be this old guard of respect and honor and, whatever. but it's a shame to watch, or we can't, you know, like I'm glad he's reinstated and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, it says here the summary of the bill is it's intended to protect individuals from discrimination within the sphere of federal jurisdiction and from being the targets of hate propaganda as a consequence of their gender identity or their gender expression. The bill adds gender identity or expression to the list of prohibited grounds of discrimination in the Canadian Human Rights Act and the list of characteristics of identifiable groups protected from hate propaganda in the Criminal Code. This also adds that evidence that an offense was motivated by bias, prejudice, or hate based on a person's gender, identity, or expression constitutes an aggravating circumstance for a court to consider when imposing a criminal sentence.
Yeah, so if you said like, you know, if you said like while you're kicking the shit out of somebody, you say
Right,
now that's like an extra hell of a
right.
yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know, I don't know, you know, I think
You're a little low, brother. You stepped away for a second, grinding something up.
yeah, yeah. What do you call it? What gets me is the I don't know. It's just like that was just. It's just that is a crime. It's called beating somebody up or whatever the fuck it's called. It's like, you know, can it? You know, people should learn just not to touch people. You know what I mean? If they don't want to be touched. And you know, it's a shame that it's like labeled into all this extraneous crap.
Well, I mean, it's just you know, think about it. It's the human. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say real quick. What it is that I see it. It's another layer for their monetization.
Right.
When they catch a U.S. citizen, they now have an extra added, what do you call it, financial
Criteria.
So
Yeah,
they can hold the enemy of the state, the U.S. citizen, in the jail as collateral, and then they can put that lien on that bond, and it's even worth more money.
yeah, because they've added that criteria to bump up the sentence.
Right, and that federal government is allowed to print money based on the expected income.
Right.
It's crazy how it fucking works, man. Like, people have no idea how this fucking system works. It really just, I gotta roll something up because.
Well, and the few that do, like, they're like, no, get away from it. You know, don't participate. You know.
Yeah, man.
And you know, I'm all for, you know, people that want to do that. That's fine. But really, what effect are you having on changing it rather than just changing it for yourself? Whereas you can do something that actually gets you remedy and has an opportunity to change the system for other people as well.
Yeah, man. You hear me better now? I don't know if I
Yeah. Now it's a little high now, but yeah, good.
All right, cool. Like, yeah, no, just this idea of what they're doing. I hope people even heard me when I said that, because what they're doing is they're taking that enemy. Did you hear me when I said that? I don't know if that was low or
Yeah,
what.
yeah, they're taking the enemy of the state, and they're able to put a larger, more monetization on top of the bond if it's under aggravated circumstances. That raises the level.
Right, and they will, and what they will do is they will seek to implement that as much as possible. And they will implement that because they've said that they would, in order to create the currency enough needed for the state. And that's why you've got the state-run justice houses needing, or they want more federal money because of them catching state citizens who are enemies of the state. And that's how they're keeping this currency going. But it's always based on futures and the idea of what's going to happen, not what's actually already happened or happening right now. It's always double entry bookkeeping.
Yeah. I think I was telling you about this a few weeks ago. A friend of mine here close by, he was recertifying for his assessor's license,
Right.
and he was studying for the test. And in one of his books is this gem. It's like chapter 1, page 1. I would like to show it to you and everybody else, if that's all right. Got a few minutes left here. Let's see. So yeah, this is from the, if you could screen share me or present me. This is from the IAAO, which is the International Association of Assessing Officers. And assessors, they go around in the county or the cities, and they assess the property values to determine the tax on the property. And this is one of the books that it came out of. It's called Principles Influencing Value. You see down here at the bottom, it's copyright 2008 by IAAO. And it says, listed below are some basic terms which you must know to be proficient as an appraiser. Read them through carefully once or twice, but don't try to memorize them. As you encounter these terms in this chapter, you will be directed to refer back to this page and review the definitions. And these are the definitions. Real estate refers to the physical, tangible land and all things permanently attached to it. Real property refers to the right of ownership of the physical real estate, often called the bundle of rights. Included in the bundle of rights are the right to use the real estate, to sell it, to rent it, to give it away, and the right not to do any of these things. Here's the key part. No one actually owns the real estate, that is the physical thing. It's only certain property rights, real property, that are bought and sold among private persons. The more important of these rights are mentioned above. Some rights, however, have been reserved by government. So you get that? No one actually owns the real estate. That is the physical, tangible land and all things permanently attached to it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because we understand that, or well, from what we've seen with the historic history, is that it goes back to the Vatican and the Crown.
Right.
So when they say nobody, those are private institutions. That's why they're sovereign institutions. And as regards to the U.S. policy, the federal or state, or anything to do with the real estate, the creditor can remain anonymous.
Right. And that goes back to that, I think it's Senate document that I showed earlier, is that all ownership resides in the state, and any ownership by an individual amounts to a mere user, and use must be in accordance with law and within the necessity of the state. So no one can actually own anything. Think about it. If you own it, couldn't they take it away from you? And if it's not yours, wouldn't that be a reason why they tax you for it? Anyway.
Yep.
Moving on. Here comes the rights that have been reserved by. What's up, JB? Welcome. Jiburu 2018.
Yeah, Jiburu 2018. If you don't know, it's not a joke anymore.
Is this thing on? There we go.
I wasn't done. The rights. The rights.
Oh, forgive me. Forgive me.
The
Hold on,
rights.
let me say it again.
All right. The rights reserved by government are these. One is taxation. Power to tax the real estate for support of government and to sell the property if taxes are not paid. Eminent domain, the power to take the property by condemnation for public use, provided just compensation is paid. Number 3, police power, power to regulate property for the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the public. Building codes, zoning ordinances, traffic regulations, and sanitary regulations are based upon the police power of the government. And the last one is escheat, power to have the property revert to the state when there are no legal heirs.
Boom. That law of escheat is a bitch.
I knew you'd love that. But yeah, that's like page 1, chapter 1 of the International Association of Assessing Officers, Principles of Influencing Value. So
word up. And I saw, what up, Jibby? How you doing, brother?
Yeah, everything goes back to the state when there's no heirs. Pretty much.
Well, that's
everything.
Right, and that's the law of escheat.
Have you guys looked into allodial title, and do we have any left in the United States?
Can't.
I heard the last place I heard where it existed was Texas.
I don't think so.
You can end that presentation. Allodial title. I've heard of that. It's almost like getting your certificate for your car from the manufacturer. I forget what that's called.
No,
what allodial title is, it's the unification of the instruments, so of the title. Because the only reason you split the title with the state, right? That's when you license a car, let's say. Now the point is that if you have a allodial title, right? It just means that it's not owned, doesn't have any interest owned by the state. Now, granted, you may be able to get a allodial title, but you're going to have to work to preserve it, and that's where you could try to work to trusts and all that kind of stuff. But the issue is that most people, in my opinion, that have ever tried that shit, they argue with these fucking court systems. In my opinion, if you learn how not to argue and take their bait, and and all the rest of it, and you learn to navigate through what they're referring to when they're referring to shit, then you will understand that you can meet them at every turn, and you may be able to acquire a allodial title. But the state, the democracy, is going to continually seek to go after it. And the thing is that, I think it's an old school. It's like the Hatfield and McCoy's kind of a fight. It's old. It's over. You know what I mean? That over, like, it's that recognition almost of that we have to look at at least in addressing the system as it is, we have to understand that we can dominate it if we enter it correctly. Now, granted, there are people, I think, that have a allodial title, but I think they're under constant fucking headaches.
I don't think they offer it anymore in any state.
They don't offer it. They don't offer it.
No, it's not something that's offered. It's something you got to work for.
I don't think it's made available. Like, you can put in your claim.
It never was, man.
They'll even acknowledge it.
No. The only way you can create what the guys used to, like, from what I imagine, what I'm doing, and this ain't legal advice, is what they would do is they would go down, they would create a trust, a family trust, because they said it existed. And that family trust had an interest in all the shit that they had possessions of. Now, that trust was from off the land, offshore, which is on the land, not in Belize. You know what I mean? Or not some island far away. It's fucking just means on the land, in my opinion. And so what they did is that, my goodness, what am I talking about? So much with the allodial title. What world? Where am I? Please help me with this.
Trust offshore.
Yeah. Yeah,
got it. Okay, yes. Okay, forgive me. So they create the trust with an interest in all the shit that they have on this in this commercial world. They take that trust and they file a UCC-1 in the county with an interest on it. Now, from the position of having that trust, which is offshore, now you're going in as the priority security interest holder with the UCC-1 with a letter to the other party saying that, hey, didn't you get my letter that I have the first interest, and due to the priority of liens, my commercial interest discharges your obligation? So what they were trying to do is they were going in and saying that they had a allodial title because they were trying to discharge mortgages using instruments outside of what is considered the accepted Federal Reserve notes and stuff, or using gold and silver technically, because the idea is that your bond, your paper, it is now considered to be gold. Because
something to buying it with gold and silver versus buying it with the paper cash.
Right. And because that's right. And they were making a claim, but the issue is that they were looking at it like they'd given them real wealth, and that real wealth was in their possession, and all this kind of stuff. When in reality, what we really need to recognize is that outside of the confines of setting up a trust and filing a UCC-1 on a name and everything else that's owned, and trying to get a allodial title and show that the state has no interest in it based on the commercial liens of the trust outside of the jurisdiction of the United States, instead of doing all that, I look at it like, look, excuse me. Am I not the son of Adam? Wasn't my thing all given to me? And do you have any genuine accusatory charging instrument? Are you denying me equal protection due process of law? Or have you just accepted the penalties? Because, in reality, there's all these confines of law that already help us, whether or not you have a fucking UCC-1 filed. These are a matter of philosophy. And Descartes said, it's, he who thinks, I think, therefore I am, which implies that he who does not think is nothing. And that's why he who does not think, maybe we're getting lost in this paper chase because we're not thinking. And that's so all that talk of the allodial title of we're going to change the courts and we're going to go back and we're going to adjust it. No, you're fucking not. Because it's never been like that almost. They've just adjusted the commercial agreements only in as much as the fucking people will let them. It's like even John Adams when he was at in Paris. Making the peace treaty, and they, he said, either go today to liberate my people or put them into captivity. By creating what he did was he created the United States to lump all the debt on. What we've got to learn is how to operate this thing and the debt and not get too critically emotionally involved. It's an instrument. It's nothing more. It's just they've materialized it and concretized it to the point where it's the only fucking thing we think of that has any value anymore. We've only accepted what's valuable by the standards of these sick fucks.
Yep.
And those acceptance of those standards and everything like that we've accepted is what has allowed for fucking institutions like YouTube to fucking take out channels like Jordan Peterson even for a minute. You know what I mean? Which is a deprivation of rights, in my opinion. That's why do you think YouTube took that strike off? Because, like I said earlier, the severity of the legal institution is impartial and fucking brutal. And if someone wants to agree to something, well, so be it. Is no one going to save them? That's why I say even any of these people that say to me like, "Oh, well, we're just." We're looking at flat earthers and we're going to do an inquisition, and all you fraudster pranksters trying to joke with people about that. All you people, it's like, I almost say like this. Well, in your imaginary little world where that's going to happen, who's to say that when I get in front of that judge, you're not going to eat crow and you're not going to be the one who gets put on the fucking stake because I says so. And that's what we have to recognize, that we have the power and the capability to do. And I think until we have that kind of an energy, that kind of a piss and vinegar in us, we're really, we're not good. But I think it's right now, I see the piss and vinegar, but I see no intelligence behind it. Our ancestors, I was listening to a Muslim scholar, I was listening to a khutbah, and he said, like, the ancients of old, he said they were unlettered, but they were not unlearned. And he made, like, think about it. The men of old couldn't read or write, but they could navigate with the stars. They knew exactly where the sun was going to be. They knew how to fucking make a boat. You know what I mean? They knew how to, They knew how to make vessels. They knew how to work. Think about it. Unlettered does not mean unlearned. I was really moved by that. Because we tend to think we're so fucking smart. Remember even fucking in the 80s, we used to grow up with, the guy who even brought this up, like, we used to know all these phone numbers in our head. Now people don't even know shit nowadays. Imagine what else we've lost. Imagine what else they've got designed for us to lose if we let it. And so that's where, I don't know, that's what this for me is all about. And I think like this is a good time for me. I enjoy coming out here and talking with everybody. Shit, Jibby, what's up? Jabiru, 2018, bitch. It's like, that's the next level for me. That's why I love all the fun that's out here also. But I like to keep it legit because there's a lot of us to be learning.
Let me ask you, Jibby, why did you bring that up? What do you have you ever done anything with allodial title or land patent?
I looked into it extensively because most people don't own their property outright. They have a mortgage and everything is all lumped into their mortgage payment. They have their homeowner's insurance and their taxes, and it's just one payment. When you buy a house, like I did in a short sale, I owned it outright. Now I'm getting these tax bills and I'm getting all these bills separately. Now you pay a little bit more attention to them, and you try to, well, the homeowner's insurance, that's a safety net you should have anyway. But the taxes, now I'm like, wait, I own my home. Why am I paying rent? And from my rent came to around something like, so it's like $300 a month in my taxes for this little piece of shit property in New Hampshire. And I'm like, why am I paying $300 a month to state and federal when the services I get here are dog shit? Like, I actually have to pay a separate company to pick up my garbage. We have a volunteer fire department. We share the police department with another town. We're like one of the last streets to get plowed. I think we have like 2 plows in the whole town. Like the services, we have no buses. We have no taxis. We're down to like 1 store. It's a small town, but the outrageous costs here for the services we get are ridiculous. And I've been fighting my town for 8 years. Like, they call me the most popular guy in town, and I don't even know anybody. I keep to myself. I don't want to get in other people's business or anything, but I fight the town and I fight the bullshit here and their fees and they squeeze people. They squeeze people dry here. And it's like family, all like old money family.
How about this though? Let's take an issue. Give me an example. Give me an example. Like what happened?
You been dealing with?
Well, they tried taking my house at one point when I was falling behind on taxes.
Okay, hold on. So who did? The state or the bank?
The town. It was the town.
It was the
they
town.
gave me the notice, and it's all legal, it was, they gave me.
Is that your only, is there, no, forgive me. Is there any other debt on the house?
No.
Okay. So it's just the taxes, right? So they were quick to be like, oh, we'll take that.
Yeah. Hey, you owe us $3,000. We're going to take the property that's worth over $100,000.
So you're,
You're so awesome, dude. They're so gangster. It's crazy.
What you're speaking of? It's probably called a special assessment, right?
I'm not familiar with that.
Usually, if there's an unpaid tax, the town or city will file or the county will file a special assessment.
Oh, it's a tax deed. It's a tax lien. It's
a tax lien. Okay.
It's if you go unpaid on your property taxes, they give you a 2-year notice that if you don't pay it in 2 years, they can legally put a lien, a tax deeding on the property, like meaning that they can deed your property to regain the tax money.
Right.
In my case, it was like $3,000 I owed when the property's worth over $100,000, and I'm like, you really think I'm going to let you take my property when you own a 3%, what I allegedly owe you 3% of the, I'm like, you're going to have a pile of lead paint rubble to deal with. I assure you, you are not taking my property. Like, I fought them like tooth and nail. It didn't cost me a dime in legal services either. And I won. And I'm still, we've deferred my taxes. Like that's how we negotiated. We deferred them. So they're accruing 5% interest over time. And so when I sell the property, I just pay that off or whatever. But the point is, I was like looking into a Lloydal title because I'm like, why am I paying rent on something I bought outright? It's, if you buy a car outright and you don't register it, you don't insure it, you don't even put it on the road, you're not paying anything on that car ever. When you start doing the, your contractual agreement to be a driver on the road, now you got all these other costs, but it's your property. You don't need to pay anything. Why are we doing that with the house? The house isn't traveling. The house isn't going anywhere. It's just part of a community. Why is there costs like that attached? And I traced it back to the last place their Lloydal title was active was Texas. And they were trying to squeeze that down. And basically, they take that tax money and it goes back to the crown. And I'm like, the crown? Why is and like the feds, they basically manage that, and they're like the collectors, the tax collectors for the crown in the United States. So they take all that tax money and it's, divided up accordingly, but the majority goes to the crown. It's almost like the mafia, like, the boss, they get all the tribute all the way. The tribute goes all the way up to the top. It's the same thing, like with this crown. So like, why does the crown have an interest in our property over here when we're supposed to have broken free from the crown? Independence Day. Independence Day is just a hot dog and beer fest. That's all it really is. We're still under, as far as I'm concerned, we're still an English colony.
Well, here's how I look at it. Like, look, we have a certain semblance of freedom that it is true that we have fought for, right? But but in a contractual reality, it's like in a contractual reality, they can pull the rug from that out from under us. And that's something we need to recognize. What I think that things like United States, or even things like even nationalism, because I look at it like that. If you were to run the show, you would have you would sit behind all the countries, and each country would feel they're the best country in the world, and everyone would be content where they are, and you'd have a little bit of limited strife, so everyone's bogged down, a little bit worried with their neighbors, and then never mind their own relationship with their own neighbors. You know what I mean? Like, I think people are too self-absorbed and too, like, to recognize. And I think like things like the, 4th of July and all these stuff. I mean, it is remembrance for the people who did struggle. And I do believe we live in the land of the free, and it is the home of the brave.
Opportunity-wise, yes.
Well, but I'm just saying it's also pretty brutal, and that we, if we recognize it like conspiratorially, I look at it like, let's say you were to break it down, where you have the religious institution in the Vatican, you have banking in England, and you have military in the United States. We're raised to be fucking savages up here. You know what I mean? Like it's like football, like fuck it. Just like, or like, just any, like, all of it, like, just the notion of the extreme athleticism, the push for, we're an athletic military society with guns. Like that's what we are. And that's a cool thing. I think when we learn how to have poise with that, as so many other men in the past have learned to do, then I think we will retain our position and in understanding with the system, not through the force of violence, but through the use of the pen. Because even I saw Grimm, who never listens to anything I say, because I didn't say I was going to call the Better Business Bureau. I just said that somebody might be liable under their agreements under the Better Business Bureau. You know what I mean? And so there's a point to that. It's like, if you were to write to, let's say, and make an agreement with somebody.
Why does the Better Business Bureau take?
It's just no.
Well, listen. Why do they take complaints about non-registered Better Business Bureau companies? I always found that weird.
It doesn't matter, because there's a certain element of ethics that the federal government, linked with the state, has to provide. That you cannot, like, look. I've said before. Title 42, Section 408A8. If you're going to deprive someone the rights to do business with them because they're not going to give you a social security account number, even if the Patriot Act says so, then you're committing a felony. Regardless of whether the fucking Patriot Act says, regardless of whatever, you are liable. But it's only about how much do you give a shit about that? Because nobody else cares about anyone else. If you're not willing to say, hey, well, excuse me, it's like stapler, like, you're just like, excuse me. And then when they don't go there, you're like, okay, well, our thing is we're going to write a letter. My thing is the pen is mightier than the sword. Knowledge is power. Like, no one hid this from anyone. It's just no one in the families taught it down from however long, because we've been suffering under how many years of war, I think. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it is wild that people don't understand that the U.S. may have lost the Revolutionary War, as evidenced by the fucking treaty that ended it. With that, and I don't know, it gets me upset, because I know that so many people come into this conversation looking to practically put this into use, right? And you can't ever practically put this into use. It's just something it's almost like a snowball. Once you start learning about it and you don't start trying to implement it too deep in your world, you start understanding like conditional acceptances, and you let that kind of snowballs into good relations. I don't know what to say. And in that way, when you interact with the society or with the the agents of it, how what I mean. It becomes a partnership.
They basically they get everybody to agree to contractual laws or contractual agreements which supersede the Constitution for convenience. Because
right, but it's nobody's
paperwork.
Well, hold on. It's nobody's fault that happened, other than the person. That's why the Supreme Court has ruled that if at the traffic stop, if you don't address the issues of probable cause and stuff like that, you can't address them in trial later on, because they're no good. Because the point is that you're always meant to be in court. The definition of court is the residence of the sovereign. The definition of sovereign is authority, and you're the authority over your own life. I often say that there is no man sovereign under God, but that's something for me, because I believe the Creator is the only sovereign. And I don't like the term sovereign citizen, because that's an oxymoron. But the point is that you're always in court. So that issue with you on the side of the road with the cop, if you don't address the issues there, you can't ask an attorney to raise it later.
And if you do address the issues by the roadside and they are not addressed, then you have to address them in the court, and you have to state that you address them at roadside.
Oh, no, of course. Well, you have to say, well, that's the thing, is you would say, show I didn't say this. I've been on the side of the road with the cops and I said, excuse me, do you have any dash cam footage going? Because I need that.
All right.
I think the other thing here, Jibby, is that there's a well ingrained and conditioned way for U.S. citizens to think that we did get away from England, which you mentioned that you don't think is true, which I would agree with you. But the other thing is ownership. You can actually own something, and if we are still a British colony or subject to thereof, and Britain is also going back through the Magna Carta still subject to Rome, and Rome has an interest in all the earth basically, then how could you ever own anything in the first place? Because you can't take it with you, right?
Right. And if they put liens like debt purposes and liens and stuff, they can take everything you allegedly own, your alleged property.
Yeah, if you own something, it could be taken away. But if you're the priority interest holder in it, then you could pass that along or assert that when need be.
Pass it along, yes.
Yeah, you could pass it, you could assign it, you could transfer it, or you could assert yourself and protect it.
But as it stands, any kind of government entity can say, you owe us this amount. How much do you have in assets? And then pretty much leave you with just a shirt on your back at some point. Like, how could they take my Xbox? Well, I didn't sign my Xbox over to anything to be liened, but yet they could. Now, why is that? What, like things like that,
Because when they sent you a bill, right, you went quiet, right?
Maybe.
So if they sent the bill and we don't respond, because now, like, imagine if you got the letter and you respond saying, "Hey, I conditionally accept that on proof of claim. You can't send me or if they gave you the bill, you know what I mean? Like, let's say you were to draft an instrument and send it back and say, "Hey, please accept this for tender payment under, for set off settlement and closure, from priority, accommodation party having a priority interest in." You know what I mean? And let the record show if you keep it, then it's agreed that it's set off, settled, and closed. If there's any defect in the instrument, respond under notary seal penalty of perjury, or else it's agreed that your acceptance is the admission that this is good enough. And you agree, pursuant to UCC 3603, that you've accepted discharge. And if they don't respond under notary seal and they send you another letter, then you might say, "Excuse me, did you not get here? Attached here too is a copy of the letter I sent you. Please respond under notary seal showing that the instrument, there was any defect in the instrument, or else it's agreed that you may be depriving me of my rights under the color of law. Are you depriving me of my rights under the color of law?" Well, if they send you another letter, you could say, "Well, pardon me. I conditionally accept that upon proof of claim that you haven't deprived my rights under the color of law. And should any one of us seek formal resolution regarding this, let the record show that the judgment shall be that you accepted tender of payment and you have denied me equal protection due process of law, and through contract obligation, you have agreed that your agents have committed a felony and tortious interference and therefore owe me $10 million fucking dollars." And if we go to court and I get a summons and I say I conditionally accept the summons, and I would send it to the attorney and I would send it to the judge, the originals, and I'd say, "Excuse me, I conditionally accept that upon proof of claim that I don't have copies attached here to, incorporated herein, of the agreements between the parties wherein the party has accepted full set-off settlement payment pursuant to this agreement here, as evidenced by his agreement and the registered mail, et cetera, that he's kept." And if he doesn't have any evidence and if he doesn't have any evidence that he's responded under notary seal within 10 days of the first receipt of this notice, let the record show that any judgment heretofore made in this courtroom will be to show that that in favor of the part of the aggrieved party so and so. And upon proof of claim that show cause why they don't have my $10 million for deprivation of rights under color of law pursuant to the agreement between the parties. And that would be a way one might be able to take it to the banks. And due to contract law, UCC 3603, under a simple fucking contract regarding a bankrupt institution, if they agreed to keep that, they didn't respond under notary seal, those gentlemen know full fucking well they have no right of recourse in regards to a public attorney or regards to a public courtroom. And the judges, because they're the smartest people on the fucking land, would question you when you went to court regarding that. And if you knew how to stand your ground and in honor, I think they would be willing to let honorable people, show the banks what's up. But as so long as it was done in a correct fashion, it wouldn't be done in the incorrect fashion. It couldn't be argued. Hold on, forgive me. I got to step away
I don't know
from
if it's still being practiced, but a lot of people were having their mortgages forgiven because the bank's institutions weren't producing the original deed. And a lot of people were pretty much dissolving their mortgages. Now, I don't know if the banks have resolved that little issue, but the passing along of your deed and title from one to another, they were getting lost. And I believe they still are being lost. And if you have a very old mortgage, challenge it. Say, produce the original title, original deed, original contract. It's always, they get lost, and they won't give you a raised sealed copy.
Well, that's another thing, is when somebody asks you to pay, what does that actually mean? How can you pay for something? Paying is just a medium of exchange, right? It's a value. Well, I mean, the thing I'm getting at here is that not only has it been decreed by the government here in the United States that it's against public policy to pay in any particular kind of coin or currency, or in any amount of money of the United States measured thereby. And from then on, it's going to be discharged dollar for dollar. And the Federal Reserve note is nothing more than a promissory note. They're the exact same. They're both evidence of a debt. They both eventually need to be paid. How can you pay a debt with a debt? So when somebody's asking you to pay, and they've already taken clearly all the assets because you can't own anything, you're a mere user, then they also have to take all the liabilities. It's a big game of Monopoly. When you play Monopoly, the game provides all the necessary currency for you to play the game. And they've done that. The trick is to renew your mind to those concepts and act accordingly as a creditor.
Yeah.
If you don't own it, they can't take it, but you do have a priority interest in it. And if they're trying to claim that they have a higher priority, all you're doing is saying, hey, show me the evidence that you have a priority claim that's better than mine. And if you don't, let the record show that mine is the priority.
And I also think too is that we've given, granted it is severe in the courtrooms, but I'm just saying, intellectually we've given too much credibility to their financial element in regards to Federal Reserve notes, and we really just, I think we can understand the history of it and the realness of it and look up for ourselves. They can't buck it. They can't, I didn't write this shit. They didn't write it. They're just partaking in it. And it's we're all partaking in it. Everyone's just as surprised as the next guy. That's why the judges are so awesome, because they're like, yep, that's good. Yep, that's right. I can't rule any other way. And then that's where the judges, they understand it. They might try to press it because they're like, who the fuck is this guy, or any of it? And at the same stroke, that's because they want to make sure that they're not giving it to somebody who's wrong. And I really do think that there is this element of understanding that they really have. It's some deeper spiritual fucking law. I don't know what it is, but it's beautiful. And I think I wouldn't say anyone go rush in to do it. I would say go study. That's why this is for philosophy. This is the ideas are what it's about. Damn it. I might have to leave. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Ali B says, Flat Earth Court, straight out of Black's Banker's Lien. The right of a bank to satisfy a customer's mature debt by seizing the customer's money or property in the bank's possession. Bank's possession. Yeah, are we a customer of our homes? We're the occupant. They have all these nice fancy words for us. We're the occupant of the residence, the citizen of the county. It's enough to get lost in.
Okay, let's take that. The right of a bank to satisfy a customer's matured debt by seizing the customer's money or property in the bank's possession. Okay, in the bank's possession. So the bank is in possession of a customer's matured debt.
Are they?
Well, possibly due to contract, but would not fall on the obligation of the customer to make sure that their debt doesn't mature and that debt is set off, settled, and closed or discharged before it gets to that point?
I need to learn more about discharging debt. I'm accruing a tax debt, property tax that I don't feel I should be paying. That's another thing. Like, you can't really argue or debate the amount that your local county charges you. Like, there's certain levels that they have to go by because that's above their heads. Like, the state wants this, so the county has to take at least that plus their needs or their alleged needs. And you can't really, like, it's kind of like what they did here is they doubled the taxes 1 year to allegedly pay for a new school that we really didn't need, because they seem to think a building actually makes a difference in an education. But they doubled our taxes. We had a vote allegedly, but I don't see everybody saying, yes, double our taxes. So there's no way that we voted for it. But they did it anyway, and you can't really do anything. And the slime bags here, as soon as, like 2 years later, as soon as they could tax deed those people that fell behind, they did. And it was like a list of 30, 40 properties in this really small town that the tax had a list, and they were taking people's homes on the year that they doubled the taxes. So it's like a setup. They'll double your taxes, and then you fall behind because it goes way out of your budget. And boom, as soon as they can legally do it, they do it. It's sick. But a lot of places are like that.
Right. You mentioned it earlier that taxes, when you researched, they go back to where? They get paid to who?
The Crown.
Okay.
Which I hear is a separate entity from the royalty.
And if you do get taxed, then whatever is being taxed, you don't actually own. You're actually like paying for the privilege of use.
Yeah, apparently.
Right. And taxes don't go to build those schools or those roads or anything else. Taxes are basically the return on the investment for the privilege of the use of using the commodity of the Federal Reserve, because they're entitled to a return on their investment. So the more of that currency you use, or if you're involved in that commercial system that uses that currency, then you're taxed based on that. It's part of the monetary system, the medium of exchange that we're using. That's how it works.
The return on their investment is a constant revenue flow.
That's right. It's constant energy sap. It's taking people's labor and energy and diverting it to other things, which are unnecessary. Because if we can print, which we do, we can print as much currency as need be. U.S. Treasury, all they have to do is submit a bond to the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve will issue and print the currency, and we can do that as much as need be. Then why are there taxes in the first place?
Yo, I suck. I gotta go to fucking lunch.
All right. Well, have a good lunch, man.
Yeah, man. Shit. I wish I would. I guess I don't know. Not many people have the link. I don't know. Do you guys want to leave it running? You guys can hang for a little bit. I'll be back.
Yeah, I'll hang for a few. I've got probably about 20, 30 minutes before I got to go to work.
I'll tell you. Yeah, no, I'm gonna be a while. I think I'm gonna probably be a little bit. Yeah. But at least like an hour and a half. I might start up a new one in a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. Jibby, man, thanks for coming in, brother. I'm gonna invite you to the next one when I get back.
Yeah, thanks for adding me.
Yeah, brother. And forgive me for interrupting the conversation, guys. I just literally have a friend
It's cool.
in a car, like waiting for me, like, what the fuck? So,
No, dude. No, dude.
and I should go. Actually, yeah. Actually, I'm going to have lunch with some good people. I'll tell you guys all about it.
All right. Well, don't let anybody put sand in your sandwich. All right.
Dude, not my little lotus flower.
I'll see you later, brother.
I'll look forward to it.
All right, brother.
Jimmy, fucking thank you so much. What World D. Thank you so
Later,
much. Later,
JB.
Yeah,
We'll talk more. All right.
Yeah,
Peace.
peace, brother. Yeah, man. Yo, in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, master of the day of judgment, it's thee we worship, thine aid we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, whose portion is not wrath, and who go not astray.
Peace out, chat.
Yeah, man. Yo, peace. If anything, I'm gonna try to put another one together for maybe in a couple hours. Hopefully, I'll see you guys later. Love you, everybody in the chat. Forgive me for ending it so abruptly, but peace, everybody.